All right, it's time to do the BookTube giving tag. I did this last year. I will have that link down below if you want to see it. But this is something Elliot Brooks does, I think, every year, for sure last year, to bring attention to a charity. So I'm going to have that information linked down below. This one's kind of like a way of doing like an online food bank situation, so you can donate whatever food they still have on their wish list to get food to people who need it. It seems like an amazing cause. Highly recommend checking that out. So I will have Elliot's original tag and all of that information down in the description below. But let's talk about books. And I tried really hard not to repeat what I said last year, but it might still happen. So if you're someone who knows that I've did that, feel free to call me out. But otherwise, let's get into it. 1. What's a book you would give everyone if you could? So I think last year I chose a fiction, and then I saw a lot of people choosing nonfiction. So I'm going to choose a nonfiction and a fiction, already breaking the rules of the tag. I don't think I have mentioned this book in a long time, and it's a book I read, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and I still think about it a lot, and I still think it's incredibly important, and that's Just Mercy. This is a nonfiction about a man who is wrongfully put on death row, and it's through the lens of the lawyer, that's the author. He's talking about this case and many cases like it, specifically in Alabama, and at the same time, basically every other chapter is that main thread. Like if you've seen the movie, I think that's the thread, that's the movie. And then every other chapter is basically other stuff in the justice system that is unjust and has to be changed. And when you learn about all of the things that this lawyer in particular has done at the Supreme Court level to make things more just for, say, children. Like, he is part of the reason why you can't necessarily have someone stay in prison for life being tried as a teen and things like that. There is just a lot in there. Sometimes it's really hard to read just because it's about stuff that makes me angry, at least. I get really angry about when a system that is meant to be fair and just is twisted and is obviously no longer meeting the spirit of what it was meant to be, and you definitely see that when you read this nonfiction. But I think it's really important, especially since I feel like a lot of us don't know what's happening, and so we assume a lot of things that should happen because that's the spirit of it, and then when you learn what does happen, it's just like, but why? So that's one I think is really good. I really enjoyed it. Well, enjoyed's a strong word, but I took a lot from it. And then for fiction, I'm breaking this even further because I want to tell you the one that I actually do in real life, and then the one that, like, I guess I really want to, but I don't know if I would. So in real life, I used to always give people The Final Empire. That's what I'd do. I'd give them The Final Empire or Elantris for Christmas or their birthdays or whatever. It depended on who they were as a reader, whether I would go Elantris or Final Empire, because they're kind of different books. If I knew they didn't like as much action, I'd go Elantris. If I knew they loved action, I'd go The Final Empire. And that's what I did, because I loved those books. Until about 4 or 5 years ago, just kept rereading the Cosmere. That's what I did with my life. But now, one that I feel has more like wide market appeal than I think it's given credit for, especially based off the success of other soft sci-fis, is The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. I think last year I also chose a Karen Lord book. I think I chose Redemption in Indigo, because I thought that that's like a story that everyone could like appreciate. And I think that's true for The Best of All Possible Worlds. It's a soft sci-fi about people coming together to help other people who are dealing with a traumatic time in their community. It's about overcoming trauma. It's got wonderful character development and character relationship dynamics. Ugh. I just love it. And I think it works for a wider range of people. People who like cultural world building, I think, will like this. People who like well-developed character relationships are going to love it. People who even don't always read sci-fi, I think, will find this very accessible, because it still feels like a place that could be lived in because it's done so well. So, I don't know. That's my current answer. I did just finish the Galaxy game, so I got Karen Lord on the brain. That is what it is. 2, what's a book you couldn't give a rat's hiney about? Always laugh at that prompt. I don't think this is an unpopular opinion, but I really couldn't care less about Winds for a Winter, which, like, isn't out yet, so can I use it? I'm going to. Even if someone told me it would be published next month, I wouldn't care. I like A Song of Ice and Fire well enough. Like, I really like the first book and the third book, and the rest I'm like, they're fine. I think it's a little low magic for me. I like to have more magic in my fantasy worlds, and everyone I like either becomes evil or gets screwed over And like, that's fine. It's not a fun time for me. And it's been so long, I would have to reread them all. And goodness, is that an undertaking if I don't love something. So I really don't care, because if I'm going to read Winds of Winter, I wouldn't read it till after, is it called? It's not called A New Spring, because that's the Wheel of Time prequel, but it's something of spring or something of summer. I don't remember what the last book's supposed to be called. But if that one comes out, maybe I'll care. But right now, I don't care at all. 3, given that the holidays are coming up, what's a book you hope someone buys for you? So this is hard because I don't normally give people a huge list of books to buy for me, but I have one in particular, which is Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin. This is the Green Lantern bind-up that she has with DC, and I don't normally buy myself graphic novels, and I really want it. So I have put it on my wish list, which I do give to my parents and other family members, so I hope that happens. Also going to steal a page from Elle's book and be like Witcher Illustrated Edition for The Last Wish, which is the book I really like from The Witcher. The Last Wish is probably my favorite book in that Witcher series, which is kind of disappointing because it's the first one, but man, I would love an illustrated edition of that. And then my stepdad normally gets me Brandon Sanderson books, so I would like a copy of Cytonic. You guys can't see my Skyward, but it's up there, and it needs a friend. It needs its third book, so that would be good. 4, what's a book or series you've given up on? I actually have a whole video for this. I have series that I have DNF'd, so I will link that in the cards if you want a full answer. I guess the one of all of those that I'm going to pick for now, and I'll obviously never say never, I guess, but the Dresden Files really, does nothing for me. If I want to read something that short, I don't know, I know it's supposed to become something else, and that intrigues me, but I've read the first 4, and it's done nothing for me. I liked it at its best when it was campy, when it was Monster of the Week, and then when it started to expand, I didn't care as much. I think part of that is Harry is okay. He's a fine guy. He thinks too much about people's bodies, but whatever. I don't think he's a bad character, but for first-person point of view, I think I have to be more than they're all right, if that makes sense. So never say never, but it's currently not on any of my near-term reading plans, so I've kind of, sort of given up on it. 5, who's a character you wish an author would give more time to? I almost wrote down the same one that I did last year, because it's always on my mind, and that would have been Geralt. But this time, I'm going to write Cheris from Machineries of Empire by Yoon-Ha Lee. So Cheris is our main character in Nine Fox Gambit, and she's present throughout the entire trilogy, but she is not always on page, and I would like more. I really like her, and I do think she also kind of gets overshadowed by another character at times, and I think it's intentional and it makes sense to her personality, but I think she's really cool, and so I wish she had a tiny bit more time in that series, because I don't know, she's just a fascinating individual, especially with her power in her quietness. I don't know, I just thought she was really cool. And then basically every important figure in Malazan, Anomander, Rake, Coltane, anyone who's super cool, would like more POVs, Whiskey Jack, but I could say that about so many characters in Malazan. Mappo and Icarium, everyone, I guess, it's just everyone. Except for, there's a couple I don't like as much. I can't remember right now, but yeah. Malazan, I think I'm always, wanting more of my favorite characters. 6, who's a character you wish an author would give less time to? I don't remember what my answer was last year, and it could be this answer, so if it is, I'm sorry, but Narampa from Black Sun. Just didn't like her. Didn't care for her. She did nothing for me. And in case that was my answer from last year, Barrow from Greenbone Saga, which I'm currently in the middle of my reread of Jade War. Barrow's he's just a lot. And you can just feel the author going, ha ha ha, giving you guys another Barrow chapter, because nobody likes Barrow. I have yet to see a person who's in defense of Barrow. He's the first chapter you read in the whole series, and from page 1, you're just who is this guy? What are you doing? You don't even know the context of the world, and you're just this guy's up to no good. What is he doing? Who is he? What? So yeah, those are my answers for that. 7, if you had to give up almost all of your books, which ones would you keep? This is not a different answer from last year. my expensive books. So these, which I guess this year I have a new set. So last year I think it was just 5, and now it's 7. And I think I would want to keep these too, because these are just hard to find, although they weren't like that expensive. But like these, especially like this one, with the way they print them now, it's not as nice. So like I really like them. Even with, these aren't the same height. Well, you can't see, but my 3 here are slightly off in height. But they're mine, and I really love them, and they're very expensive. So I don't think there are other ones that like I can't replace. I do have like, I've been collecting the US trade paperback covers for the Inheritance trilogy. So these are my UK covers of them. And I've spent so much time looking for those that I'm tempted, but they're not that expensive, and like it's not that important. But I've just spent a lot of time. 8. What's the best book or bookish thing you've ever been given? All right, I actually brought props. So, the first one I will show you guys, I've actually shown in a Friday Reads, but when my friend got married, she gave us each a gift, and she gave me this necklace. That's a book locket. I don't know if I can get this to show up very well, but there's the book. And I don't have anything in the locket yet, but it's so cute. I really love it. My one friend had a cool idea of like, I have a picture being one of her bridesmaids, so putting that in there, and then when I get married, you know, have her picture with me in it, and it's like a locket of both of us. So, might do that. Sounds really cute. And then this is like a present I was, when I say my face was unprepared when I opened it, I kid you not, like I did not expect to open this gift. And now it's like one of my favorite things, and I use it for reading all the time. And that's my pillow. It's my Dragon on a Pile of Books pillow. And I didn't ask for a pillow. I mean, I love pillows. I have plenty of pillows. But it's so good for putting my book on, or like putting at my lower back when I'm on the couch. Like this is versatile. And it's very pretty, and it makes me happy, and it has books, so I'm counting it for this question. I don't get too many other bookish gifts except for books. Like my mom surprised me with the Final Empire leatherbound, which is why I have this huge collection. I was originally only going to get Elantris because I'm the weirdo who loves Elantris so much, but then she got me the Mistborn one, and then I'm like, well, now I have to collect them all. This is where I'm at. 9. What's a book someone gave you that you wished you could give right back? I don't normally have this thought, so I had to struggle for this, because I very rarely am given things that I wish I could give back. But it has so much dust on it because I haven't touched it. I think in high school, or maybe early college, my mother bought me this book. I have moved to so many apartments with this book. It was with me in my college apartment. It was with me in my first Boston apartment. It's with me in this apartment. It has made it 3 moves, and it is heavy. It is a thick, heavy boy, and I don't really know what it's about. I think it has to do with maths. I think it might be a nonfiction, and I'm always like, you'll read it one day, Angela, and I never do. But I don't want to get rid of it, because I kind of want to read it. But now I'm just stuck carrying this heavy book everywhere with me. Like, I'm sure it'll make it in the next move. So, part of me thinks about this book. 10. Name a time in a book that a character was given something really meaningful. Well, I had to put it somewhere on this tag, so this is a little forced. But in The Mask of Mirrors, there is a scene very early on when a character is given a mask by another character. And that is very meaningful in this society because masks are very meaningful. And also these two characters meeting for the first time is a very big deal. And so that's one of those moments in this book. But there's also another moment in Mask of Mirrors where gloves are very important. You're supposed to keep your gloves on, and it's like part of propriety and stuff like that. And one of the characters has to give another character a glove. And it is like the most scandalous scene. It is so cool. So clothing has a lot of importance, and I didn't know that I would care that much about that. And I love The Mask of Mirrors, and it wasn't nominated for the Goodreads Choice Award, and I'm still not okay. But those are the answers for this tag. So now I need to tag some people. So going to my subscription feed to bombard people with tags because we need to spread the word of this good cause. So let's tag... Bethany, I know you don't normally do tags, but you've been doing some tags recently, so I'm going to tag you in this in case you want to. No pressure. I'm going to tag Sarah from Sarah Reads. I think this would be fun to hear your answers for it. Same with Abby at Abby Salter. Would love to hear your answers. And then let's do one more for good measure. Let's do Shannon from That's So Po. You also don't normally do tags. But, like, when you have spicy takes, I really love it, and this has some spicy answers, and you, like, never talk about the things you don't like on your channel. Like, when I started buddy reading with Shannon, all of a sudden I got to hear all of her negative opinions, and I'm like, you have so many quality negative opinions. So, those are the people that are tagged in this one. Be sure to check out the charity links down in the description. Go watch Elliot's video if you want more information than what I've given you, and leave a turkey as your emoji because Thanksgiving. I mean, if you're in the United States, obviously. Or you can leave any other autumnal or holiday emoji that you'd like if you don't want to leave a turkey. We live in Massachusetts where there are lots of wild turkeys. They kind of terrify me. They are like little dinosaurs. They're like huge for birds. I mean, tiny for dinosaurs. But yeah, they're a lot. But anyways, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.